What is unfolding now is not the collapse of the world. It is the collapse of an understanding. Because for generations, humanity has lived under the authority of seeing is believing. The perceptual model that places cause outside the individual and assigns all power to appearances. This is the model that has shaped civilization. This is the model that has shaped identity, and this is the model that has shaped history itself. But it was never sustainable. Because what is built on misperception must eventually return to truth. And so this is what is meant when people ask the question, what is the end game? It's not an event imposed from the outside, but a phase of completion. It just so happens to be the most significant phase in human history, where an old paradigm of understanding is replaced with a vastly different one, where everyone finally wakes up to who they really are and what they are really here to do. Because in truth, every human being is awareness in form, and awareness expresses through attention. Where attention goes, experience follows, but for generations, attention has been unconsciously directed toward fear, which caused humanity to believe a fundamental lie, that fear is reality. This is how insecurity became normal and how instability became expected. Lineage carried it. Culture reinforced it, and civilization institutionalized it. This is why the collapse is inevitable. What collapses is not the human experience, because experience is not the problem. What collapses is the stranglehold that fear has had over the individual and the collective. And with that collapse comes responsibility, because the end game is something everyone participates in. It is not humanity being corrected, it is humanity correcting itself. Because every individual carries a lineage. However, through fear, that becomes patterns unresolved, fears unexamined, and authority relinquished over time. But what was once perceived as weakness will now be revealed as purpose. The very point of instability now will become the point of resolution. This is how the illusion is collapsed, not through force, but through recognition. Recognition of what fear is, recognition of how it was misused, recognition that authority was never lost, only misdirected. There will no longer be any denial. What has been suppressed must now be seen. What has been avoided must now be understood, not as threat, but as instruction. Because fear was never meant to define reality. It was meant to provide contrast, a reference point within creation. Love, however, is the reflection of reality itself, the expression of awareness aligned with truth. And as perception realigns with reality, creation changes. This is how humanity begins to experience itself differently, not as separate but as whole, not as insecure but as complete, not as dependent but as free. This is the end game. The collapse of illusion, the reclamation of authority, the resolution of lineage, the emergence of true purpose. What replaces the illusion, therefore, is not uncertainty, it is alignment. And what emerges from that alignment is inevitable. Completeness, freedom, and love, all things that are synonymous with true reality. If you want to understand the structural mechanics behind this shift, how fear became foundation, how attention creates experience, and why this correction is irreversible, the full architecture is mapped in the book, The Meaning of Life, not as philosophy, as structure.